Salutations from TouchHistory. I, Pervez Kamal, am trying to present the history of America based on true events, feeling the urge to inform the next generation. Today's history is about women's rights. Now, start our journey. The wind that changed the city. Chicago, 1912. The city roared like a furnace, its skyline jagged with ambition, its streets swollen with people chasing the modern dream. Smoke rose from factory stacks along the river, the metallic clang of the rail yards echoing across the south side. Men in bowler hats strode past the streetcars with purpose. Women hurried in long skirts, their hats pinned tight against the lake wind. Yet amid that restless energy, a quieter, stronger current was building, one that would soon shake the city to its core. Mabel Harper stood at the corner of Michigan Avenue, gripping a stack of leaflets. Her fingers were numb from the cold, but her voice didn't waver. "Votes for women," she called. "Equal voice for equal work." Most men ignored her. Some smirked, a few muttered curses. One spat on the sidewalk near her boots. But a group of young women paused, shop girls from Marshall Fields, their faces pale from long hours under gaslight. Mabel smiled and handed them each a leaflet. "You work the same 10 hours as the men," she said softly. "Shouldn't your voice matter too?" They hesitated, exchanging looks. Then one of them, a girl no older than 17, tucked the leaflet into her coat. "They say ladies shouldn't meddle in politics," she murmured. Mabel met her eyes. "Politics meddle in your wages, your safety, your freedom. Isn't that reason enough?" That evening, Mabel walked home through the smoky streets to a small flat above a tailor shop. The walls were lined with pamphlets, posters, and letters from other cities. New York, Boston, St. Louis, all written by women fighting the same battle. On the table sat a worn copy of The Revolution, Susan B. Anthony's old newspaper, its pages yellowed but still defiant. Her roommate, Clara McIntyre, sat by the stove, darning gloves. "You'll freeze to death out there. And for what? Another speech where they laugh at you?" Mabel dropped her satchel with a weary sigh. "For every woman who can't speak yet, we'll make them listen." Clara smiled faintly. "You sound like Jane Addams." Mabel laughed. "She's the one who taught me to never whisper when the truth is on your tongue." Hull House, Jane Addams' settlement, was the beating heart of Chicago's social awakening. By day, it sheltered immigrant families. By night, it became a fortress of reform. There, teachers, nurses, and factory women gathered to discuss not just charity, but change. Mabel had walked through those doors years earlier as a frightened stenographer with blisters on her hands. She left with fire in her veins. The suffrage movement in Chicago was not born in parlors or universities. It was born in the sweat and smoke of the working class. The women of the stockyards, the laundry workers, the garment cutters, these were the voices Mabel carried into the grand halls of the city. In early 1913, as winter eased its grip, the Chicago Political Equality League planned a parade through downtown. It would be the largest suffrage demonstration in the Midwest. The newspapers called it a spectacle of misplaced ambition. City Hall warned of unladylike disruption. But the women refused to step aside. On the morning of May 2nd, the streets bloomed with yellow banners. The sky was pale blue, the air electric. Marchers gathered at the foot of Grant Park, teachers in white dresses, factory girls in gray uniforms, mothers pushing prams draped with ribbons. Mabel took her place at the front, beside Jane Addams, who held a banner that read, "Democracy must begin at home." As the band struck up a tune, the crowd began to move. Cheers and jeers mingled in the air. From the sidewalks, men shouted insults, "Go back to your kitchens!" But others tipped their hats in respect. Children waved little flags. For the first time, the city saw its women not as background figures, but as a force marching forward. Halfway up State Street, a group of young men tried to block the procession. They jostled and shouted, laughing. Mabel stepped forward. Her voice was clear, unwavering. "Stand aside, gentlemen. You'll not stop progress with your shoes." The laughter faltered. One man sneered. "Do you think the vote will change anything?" She met his gaze. "It already has. You're talking to me, aren't you?" The crowd erupted in applause, and the men stepped back. The parade moved on, stronger, prouder. When they reached the auditorium theater, speeches began. Jane Addams spoke first, her voice calm and resolute. "We do not ask for privilege, we ask for justice, the simple right to shape the world we help sustain." Then Mabel spoke. Her heart pounded, but her voice carried to the rafters. "We say a woman's place is in the home, but what of the woman whose home is a factory floor? What of the mother who buries her child because the milk was tainted, the streets unclean, the laws written without her say? The vote is not a weapon, it is a remedy." When she finished, the hall shook with applause. Reporters scribbled furiously. By the next morning, her words were printed in papers from Chicago to St. Louis. But progress came slowly. In the following months, the legislature in Springfield debated and rejected another suffrage bill. The men who opposed it claimed women would neglect their moral duties. Mabel received threats, anonymous letters warning her to stop, a brick thrown through the window of her office. One night, as she returned home, two men followed her from the streetcar stop. She quickened her pace, her heart pounding. When she reached the doorway of her building, a hand grabbed her arm. "Why don't you stay quiet, miss? The city's better without women shouting about politics." She turned and looked him squarely in the eye. "And yet here you are, afraid of a woman's voice." They released her. She climbed the stairs trembling but unbroken. That night, she wrote in her diary, "If they fear our voices, then me must shout louder." In 1914, Chicago women won a partial victory. The Illinois General Assembly passed a law granting women the right to vote in municipal and presidential elections, the first such law east of the Mississippi. It wasn't full suffrage, but it cracked the door open. When the news reached Hull House, Mabel ran down Halsted Street laughing and crying. Women poured from factories and tenements, waving handkerchiefs, hugging strangers. Church bells rang. Even the newspapers, once mocking, declared, "The women have won a voice." That evening, Mabel stood again at the corner of Michigan Avenue, where years before she had shouted into the wind. Now the wind carried her words farther. A mother approached with her teenage daughter, the same girl who had once taken a leaflet shyly and walked away. She handed it back, yellowed and creased from years in her pocket. She said, "I kept it. I voted today." Mabel smiled, her eyes glistening. Then every word was worth it. But she knew the struggle wasn't over. Across the nation, thousands of women were still barred from the ballot, especially women of color, immigrants, and the poor. She joined the National American Woman Suffrage Association, traveling from Chicago to Washington, organizing rallies, collecting signatures. In 1917, as the Great War raged overseas, the suffrage movement split. Some women believed they should pause their campaign to support the war effort. Others, led by Alice Paul, demanded action now. Mabel found herself torn. She admired Jane Addams' pacifism, but also felt the urgency of the younger radicals. During one tense meeting at Hull House, she stood and spoke. "We cannot build democracy abroad while denying it at home. If this is a nation worth defending, then every woman has earned her share of it." Her words made the papers again. Some called her unpatriotic, others called her brave. When women picketed the White House that winter, Mabel's pamphlets were among the signs they carried. By 1919, victory was near. The 19th Amendment had passed Congress, awaiting ratification by the states. Chicago suffragists gathered once more at Grant Park, older now, some gray-haired, many widowed or worn by years of struggle. Mabel stood before them, her hands trembling around a small American flag. She told the crowd, "They said it would never happen. They said we were foolish, hysterical, unnatural. But history listens longer than men do. And tonight, she is listening to us." The park erupted in cheers. Fireworks exploded over Lake Michigan, their reflections dancing on the water. Mabel looked out at the faces around her, teachers, mothers, factory girls, widows, and thought of all the women who had not lived to see this night. A year later, in August 2020, Tennessee became the final state to ratify the 19th Amendment. The vote was narrow, decided by a single young legislator who changed his mind after reading a letter from his mother. When the telegram reached Chicago, the bells of the city